Hello everyone, good evening. Hope you're all having a wonderful evening so far. And if you're in the UK enjoying the sun outside, welcome to our Health and Life Sciences live stream today here at DMU. My name is Tay and this is my colleague.
I'm Matt and we're going to be your hosts for the next 45 minutes or so. We'll be exploring what it's like to study with us here in the Faculty of Health and Life Sciences at De Montfort University.
Yes, and over the course of this stream, you'll be hearing about our academic staff and representing each of our 4 academic schools that we have within HLS. We'll be, of course, talking about our courses, our placements, facilities, and where our graduates have gone on after their graduation.
Yeah, and we'll even be joined by a member of our HLS placements team and 2 current students as well who will share a bit of real-life experience of studying here at DMU. Worth noting that the session is of course live, so if you do have any questions for any of our guests or for your hosts, you're more than welcome to drop them in the chat and we'll try and get around to them when we can. So we'll dive right into our first sort of spotlight session that we've got this evening. So we're going to be talking about courses with embedded placements. So these are ones where placements are built into the course experiences themselves. So we're joined by 2 academic colleagues from both the School of Nursing and Midwifery and the Leicester School of Pharmacy. So Helen, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi there, yeah, so my name's Helen Root. I'm Head of Pharmacy Practice here at the Leicester School of Pharmacy.
Brilliant, and we're also joined by Jo.
Hi, I'm Jo Wilcox. I'm Senior Practice Lead within the School of Nursing and I'm an Adult Nursing Lecturer as well.
Amazing. Can you both tell us a little bit about your schools and about your courses itself and what makes courses at DMU stand out in particular within HLS?
Hi there, yeah, I'll take that first. So in the Leicester School of Pharmacy, we've had a School of Pharmacy here for 120 years. So we're based in one of the oldest buildings as well on campus, which is really lovely to work in. But within there, we've got some really great facilities as well. So I think having a programme that's been here for so long means that we've got really great connections out in the community, out with our placement providers, both locally, nationally and internationally as well. So yeah, really great facilities and a really fantastic team as well that we work with.
Yeah, and I suppose those connections are really important, aren't they, just for the student experience, and something we'll come on to a bit later. But yeah, Jo, from your point of view, what would you like viewers to know about the School of Nursing and Midwifery?
School of Nursing at De Montfort, we're quite excited this year because it's our 30-year celebration. The degree's been around for 30 years.
Yeah.
And I was in year 1 of the 30 years, so I'm a DMU graduate as well, which is quite nice. It's a BSc, it's a 3-year programme. We work very closely with the local NHS trust to place our students. Our student population is probably around 900 students across the 3 years, so we're a very big school, and that's only nursing. Midwifery, you could probably add on another 150 students, so it's a very large school. Like I say, most of our students are locally recruited when they leave the course, which is really nice to see them out in practice supporting our students. So we have a very tight connection. We've got fantastic facilities. We've got a simulation suite now that delivers simulated teaching. We've had our nursing students go out on global trips as well. They've gone out to Dubai as well to learn about nursing in other countries. Brilliant. And had fantastic feedback and had an absolutely excellent time. So yeah, it's a fantastic course, to be fair, and the students really enjoy it.
Yeah, that's definitely amazing to hear that we have. In terms of the teaching team, can you tell us a little bit more, and also like the practical approach to learning, because both pharmacy and nursing, they're practical, but even the other courses within the School of Pharmacy and the School of Nursing and Midwifery. So if you could tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so we've got a real mix of team members. So science is at the heart of what we do with pharmacy. So it's still a science-based course, but we also, alongside that science team, have lots of teacher practitioners who come and teach with us. So again, they generally would work maybe for us for 2 or 3 days, and then the rest of their time out in practice. So they're bringing that kind of real-life clinical experience to the teaching, which is so important as well. We've also got like a really strong research team as well, that again inform that teaching that we have when we're kind of thinking about the curriculum and how we work with that. We use problem-based learning when we're teaching the students, so we're getting them to really explore and think about the cases that we give them and think about how that they would approach it themselves, and then kind of facilitate those discussions when they come into the classroom as well. So there's lots of taught time. There's also self-directed study, so we use a flipped classroom approach to the way that we teach, which means that the students often need to look at some work before they come in, and then bring that pre-work into those sessions as well. But alongside that, we've got the placements, which I know we'll talk about later, and the simulation that we use to support those placements as well.
Yeah, I mean, in my old role as a schools and college officer, we used to experience pharmacy experience UE days, and those used to be my favourite kind of sessions, because you could see the practical sessions, like doing prescribing medicine, even, you know, checking the BP and stuff like that. So it's definitely something that you can, you know, have fun learning and enjoy. Yeah, and what about you yourself, Jo, within nursing?
Within the academic team, within nursing and midwifery, we are all still active registrants, so we're all still registered nurses and midwives that deliver the teachings. We all bring that wealth of experience and that linkage with practice, which is really important. Nursing was the last programme to go over to block teaching, which we've delivered this year, which has been received really well with the students, which means they can study one subject, one module at a time, and then be assessed, which from a perspective of a work-life balance, particularly as we've got a population of more mature students, works really well, and the students have really enjoyed that. We're very inclusive. We deliver and assess across a breadth of methods, so we might there is a requirement that the students come in for a certain amount of hours for them to register, but we also do, like Helen just discussed, you know, flipped learning, pre-seminar activities. We deliver larger lectures. We might do some online discussion boards. We've made sure over the 3 years there's a mix of assessments. So there might be an exam, there might be a written assessment, or there might be a verbal assessment, a vocal assessment, where they can stand up and present their ideas. But what we have been very careful to bear in mind is that we all learn differently, and it's to be as inclusive as we possibly can, so that the students engage with that as much and enjoy it, and are able to demonstrate their knowledge. Okay, so that's how we but it is important that people understand that the course is split 50-50, so 50% of their time is within practice learning and 50% is within theory block, and it's an equal split.
So I suppose we'll be joined by a couple of current students later on to talk a bit about that block and why they like it direct from them. You've both touched on it a little bit, the sort of, I suppose, the industry or practice, even research informed nature of our courses. So thinking a bit about those embedded placements, how they work, sort of what sort of providers or organisations we work with. Would you like to let us know a bit about that?
Yeah, certainly. So predominantly we have community, hospital, and then GP placements as well. So students that join us this academic year will be going on to be independent prescribers, which is really exciting. And so we're going into the third year now of our new programme that's accredited to the new GPHC standards. And what that means is that students need to get that kind of hands-on practical experience. So one of the things that we did last year for the first time was work with community pharmacists in and around Leicester, Leicestershire and Rutland to support them deliver the vaccinations that the patients have for the flu vaccination season. We were one of the first to do that in the country and get our students to do that. And so our third year students last year went out and vaccinated several hundred patients, which is great, and is really giving back to the community and building their confidence in dealing with patients in real life situations as well. In the later year they have a choice of placement either in the GP, community or hospital setting, and we try and work with them to map that to the sector where they're going to be in their foundation training year as well. So the placements aren't as long as they are for the nursing students, but they're getting longer and they're all embedded within the programme as well.
That's amazing to hear. And Jo, is it a little bit similar with nursing? You mentioned like it's 50% theory.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit more?
In their first year, they do 3 6-week placements, and then in their second and third, they do two 10-week placements. Something that we've introduced which makes us slightly different to universities that provide an elective option for nursing courses is that our students after first year can put in a placement preference. So they can say where they would like to go, and that allows them to have maybe more than one that's their own choice placement as well, rather than with an elective. With other universities, they only get that one choice. So that is where we are quite unique, and we listen to the students about where they'd like to be placed. Yes, so they have placements across the whole of the 3 years. What we also allow for is that students can, even though they need to work 24/7, the nursing rota, they can put 4 requests in every 4 weeks for certain shifts, so that allows them to have that work-life balance if they've got personal or job commitments. We also tend to say we will not place you any further than 90 minutes travel within the campus, but most of our placements are within a 20-mile radius. As we know, within a nursing programme you get funding towards your travel, you can claim that back. NHSE provide funding for that, so there is allowances for that as well. So we use local providers. We've Leicestershire Partnership Trust is one of the biggest mental health trusts. We use the acute trusts. We use the private and voluntary independent sector, which could be private hospitals. We use prisons for placements. We use charities, things like food banks. So students start to understand things like food poverty in their first year. We use nurseries, social care homes, pharmacies, sexual health clinics. You know, we really have got that breadth of placements. What's really nice as well is locally within Leicester they're going to trial the national nurse uniform, which includes students, so that nationally people know when you're wearing a certain colour who you are. And locally they've decided coming this September that the student nurses at De Montfort will become on board with that, which is smart scrubs, and they look amazing. I must admit, they do look amazing. They look really
important for a lot of people watching.
Absolutely. They are smart. They're very modern as well, and they will, and that's really nice that we can trial it locally and kind of you know have our students included in that as well. We have a hospital hopper.
I was going to mention that.
Absolutely, which is free for student nurses, which is an absolute bonus. So, and that will kind of do a radius around Leicester, so the 3 hospitals, but it will also stop off at certain points, such as the railway station, the park and ride as well, which is fantastic, which makes these placements accessible for students.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of support, you mentioned the support in terms of travel. Like, Jo, do you have anything in, the foundation training year that pharmacy students go into? What kind of support is available to them?
So in terms of the placements that the students have here with us, we have a travel bursary to help the students again. The hospital hopper is fantastic, so our students get to use that as well. It makes a little noise like a frog as well if you ever hear it and hear it around. Uniforms again we provide for the students, but we're looking at the moment to embed and introduce a new placement allocation tool which will allow us to again look at where students live and think about whether they've got a car, access to travel, perhaps caring responsibilities and things like that, and try and place them in a location that really works for them to allow them to not have too long a time to have to travel, and also to try and expand where we put in our placements so that they're perhaps a little bit closer to home, so that they're not just Leicester, Leicestershire and Rutland, but actually sort of widening that expanse as well. When they go on to their foundation training year, we really support them with finding that placement. So the students apply for the foundation training year in their 3rd year, so towards the end of that. So we'll help them kind of with the interview process and the preparation for that. And then once they've left us, we invite them back, and we have loads of study days that they can kind of come and join us with. And we do a mix of them being both on campus and webinars. And I think it's really nice for the cohort to get back again and kind of share that experience and where they are in their sort of last part of their journey when they're a student as well.
Yeah, just getting to sort of keep in touch and stuff.
Yeah.
So I suppose for people watching who might be a bit nervous about placements, I suppose we'll go on to talk about sort of where students get placed and, you know, what jobs they get afterwards as well. But the facilities that we've got at DMU, they're sort of authentic, aren't they? They prepare you for what you'll get in practice and in sort of real organisations. So I suppose just to move on to those sort of companies where students end up working. So for yourself, Jo, where do students typically go?
The local NHS trusts.
Yeah.
Like I say, the prisons. I've dealt with some very recent graduates that are supporting our students out there as well that have gone straight into prison nursing or custody nursing. Some of the private voluntary independent sectors, cruise ships. Some have gone into more specialisms, so things like palliative care, on to post-grad courses as well, afterwards to specialise. So really there's a massive breadth of where, and it's really quite nice to see them out in the workforce afterwards as well and find out where they've gone as well.
Yeah,
It's always interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, my clinical nurse is actually a DMU graduate, so we do end up talking about DMU whenever I do see her.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Helen, for yourself, where do you typically see sort of pharmacy and, you know, Leicester School of Pharmacy graduates go?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and again, a bit like Jo, many will go into kind of the NHS and working at the hospitals close by, but also within the community pharmacy setting as well. But beyond that now, we're seeing more students going to work in GP practices, which is great, and using that prescribing skill and kind of working in that role. Beyond that, industry. So a lot of students go and work in an industry setting, and that might be in something like medical information, or it could be in product development and design. I recently went to the Clinical Pharmacy Congress down in London and bumped into one of our graduates, and they're in the British Army, and they're one of the there's only 16 pharmacists in the whole of the British Army. So she's just finished her training at Sandhurst and is based at Birmingham Hospital. So I really think, you know, a lot of students have go on to have quite diverse portfolio careers. So even if you start in one sector, I always thought I'd work in a community pharmacy and never go anywhere else, and I'm teaching now and in academia, so there's such a breadth of opportunity, and I think we just try and show that to our students through having kind of the different placements or career events and fairs and getting people to come in and talk to them, so that it really inspires them to think about something different in terms of their career as well.
I suppose it goes to show that the course at DMU sort of does broaden horizons.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and similarly, like with our other courses within the faculty of, you know, the School of Pharmacy and Nursing as well, like forensic science, the students go into working within the police force, do some auditing, they go into like drugs lab offices, so there's a lot of different things within, you know, places that our students end up as well. And as you've mentioned, within nursing and midwifery as well, there's practice staff nursing, clinical needs, nuclear medicine that nursing go to as well. But yeah, so thank you both. It's great to hear how hands-on free our courses are from day one, actually, because they are so practical, and you get to see the facilities, use the facilities before you even go into, like, you know, the world of work. So amazing to hear. We do have a video for us that does show our amazing facilities at DMU. We'll go to that and we'll come back to the live stream.
Hiya, I'm Aneta. I'm a forensic science student here at de Montfort University. Currently, we are in front of the 19th century Hofforum building, which is the heart of our campus. This building has facilities that replicate the current practices within our health and life sciences. Would you like to have a tour? Come on, let's go. And here we are in the forensic science lab. This is Frank. Say hi to Frank. How are you doing, Frank? Good to know. Within our forensic science facilities, we have some amazing machines, from FFTA machines to ESDA to chromatography, and the UK's first ever genetic analyzer within a teaching environment. Another thing you can do within DMU is improve your investigation skills through attending the crime scene house. But yeah, this is my lab. Hope you enjoy. Step into our biomedical lab where you'll be able to train on equipment similar to what's in NHS and industry. From cell cultures to diagnostic tools, you'll be able to get hands-on experience that will prepare you for your future career in healthcare or research. Get hand-on experience within our mock hospital wards, where you'll be able to practice anything from CPR to patient handling. Our simulation mannequins and clinical skill suites are able to prepare you for placements in a safe and immersive environment. Start your radiography journey within our high-tech digital X-ray suite, where you'll be able to learn imaging techniques along with studying the musculoskeletal system, where you'll also be able to get hands-on experience with patients within hospitals and clinical settings. I hope that gives you a better insight on some of the facilities that we provide here at the MU. Along with those facilities, we have an amazing team of technicians that support them. If you liked what you saw and you want to see more, we'd be more than happy to see you here at an open day. I hope you enjoyed. See ya!
Welcome back, guys. So now we are joined by two new guests. So we've got Nabila and Jess. Would you both like to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, sure. I'm Dr. Nabila Ahmed Omaji, and I am a lecturer in psychology.
I'm Dr. Jessica Locker, and I'm a lecturer in biomedical science.
Brilliant. And I suppose it's worth noting that we talked about these sort of embedded placements before, but both of your courses and both of the schools they sit within, it's more optional placements, isn't it?
So yeah, Jess, I'd like to go to you first. If you can tell us a little bit more about biomedical science and the Leicester School of Allied Health Sciences, what makes it a good choice for students scoping out universities and those interested, working in the lab or in the health science kind of careers?
Yeah, biomedical science is an excellent career and an excellent degree for those people who are looking to move into lab work, are looking to get that real foundation in science. It's such a varied degree. You're learning little bits of chemistry and little bits of anatomy and little bits of microbiology, which makes it a really interesting kind of well-rounded degree. And it has the career aspects that come out of it. You've got very well-defined career aspects. You can become a biomedical scientist, you can work in labs, but there's lots of other options available to you as well.
Fantastic. And I suppose, Nabila, for those psychology students and sort of social science students listening in, what sort of experience will they expect with us as well?
Right, well, the psychology course is really great because students from psychological backgrounds or students who've never studied psychology at all before can come in, and what they can expect is just a full introduction to psychology from scratch. So because it's a BPS accredited degree, you graduate with the graduate basis for chartership. And what essentially that means is when you're studying the course, you need to cover certain elements within psychology so that when you graduate, you can go on to practice in psychology if you want to. But also, if you don't want to, you still get all of that information that's relevant and appropriate for different areas. So behavioral sciences, cognitive psychology, that sort of thing, which is relevant in marketing and just different, basically, it covers all different areas. So developmental psychology, biological psychology, personality, which is always really interesting. So it covers a broad range. That means you have a lot of options for when you're finished with the degree and you want to go on to study something further, be that psychology or something entirely different.
I suppose it's that sort of those analytical skills as well. So students go into things like data analysis even.
Yes, absolutely. We do a lot of research methods and statistical analyses and that sort of thing. And I know that students sometimes come in thinking, oh, I'm not really good at math. I was definitely not good at math in high school and things. So I would say that students shouldn't worry too much about that. It's something that we start from scratch. We introduce you slowly. We have dedicated workshops where what you cover in the lectures, we work through it together in a smaller group setting where you have more one-on-one time with your tutor, so you can get the support that you need in order to gain the analytical skills and learn how to use the software and the programs within the course. And I think that that's really, really great.
Really sort of easing our students in rather than
throwing
them straight in at the deep end.
I know, because who likes maths? Like, some people do, some people are good at it, but most people struggle, and I definitely did. And it's good to have that support that you can ask questions and work through things in smaller groups, which I think is also a massive win.
A bit more personal.
And that's why, the optional placements as well, which is great because I guess it gives some sort of flexibility and, like, you know, the benefits of having that. So can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so with the optional placement, students can take a year out between their second and third year to work in industry, to work doing some research, or really anything kind of that the students are interested in, so well-being teams and things like that. So students can go on to get some real-world experience, to apply some of the things that they've learned on the course, to come back and then complete their degree, which sets them up really well for when they graduate, but that's not always compulsory. And it's also, with psychology, it can be quite challenging sometimes to find these placements, so it's not something that's embedded within the course, but it is something that is available to students to utilize if they have an opportunity that they find that's suitable for them.
Yeah,
I suppose it's about being proactive, isn't it?
Yeah, and we do have somebody from the careers team later on that can talk about, you know, how we can find those placements. And is that similar sort of thing for you, Jess, within your course area and your school?
It's similar in regards that we do between second and third year. We have these year-long placements that can either be internal, but we are an IBMS accredited biomedical science course. Which means that when our students graduate, they will then have the option to go do a portfolio to become a biomedical scientist and become HCPC registered. However, we also send students on an optional placement to a hospital where they can complete that portfolio in that placement year, meaning that when they graduate, they are a fully fledged BMS, meaning they can work as a biomedical scientist in the NHS at a band 5 straight away.
Yeah, amazing.
Otherwise, we send students out to industry to do industry research, whether that's industry research in a lab. Last year we had a student who went to do some chemical research, but it was more of a paper office based, and it was around health and safety. We offer, this year we've got 7 placement students who are staying internally with us for a year, doing a research project with the academics that teach on the course. So they get to know the academic environment better, they get to know what a research project looks like for a year long. They gain some independence. They get to do the lab skills that we have introduced them to during our lab practicals. Our lab practicals are very much based on the skills that they would need as a biomedical scientist or would need as a research scientist. But these placements give them more chance to apply those skills, to do them over and over again, to perfect them, to troubleshoot them. And that means that when they come to applying for jobs, they feel already like they are an expert in that area. And it really gives them a lot of confidence. It also really helps with maturity. They're working a 9-to-5 job where it really helps people to be like, yes, this is what I want to do. Or sometimes to be like, actually, I'd like to try this other area instead.
I think that's quite similar in psychology as well. So we have a few students who've gone on to do placements with us, but also there's more shorter term opportunities of volunteering and things that the university organises that students can get involved in. So if you're not sure what you might want to go into when you graduate, you get the opportunity to experience some of these things before. And I know that, you know, if you don't enjoy a particular opportunity, I think that's a bigger learning curve, because then you know, okay, maybe that's not right for me, and it directs you towards something that might be right. So I think quite similar, we have that in psychology as well, which I think is really great.
And I was definitely one of those persons when I was at university. I studied history, I didn't know what to do, so I was like, let me do an internship in marketing, and I actually loved it, and here I am. But you touched, like, you know, those opportunities for students, and then you mentioned the lab spaces and the facilities. Can you just tell us a little bit more about facilities, and we'll go on to you as well, Nabila, within psychology too.
Yeah, so we do try to set up our lab practicals. They are based in different labs depending on the topic. We try to set them up like a working laboratory that kind of mimics the industry and the NHS standards. You will do microbiology in a microbiology lab where you will learn about aseptic technique, where you will learn from microbiologists how to do microbiology. Then you might go to a molecular biology lab where you'll be doing something different with a different set of skills, but even things such as the fact that we're trying to use equipment that matches what is used in labs, trying to keep everything kind of standardized so that when you come out, you're not going to walk into a lab that seems completely foreign to you. There's a level of recognition. that's a PCR machine. I know what I'm going to do with that. There's a kind of familiarity, which then means the students gain a lot more confidence. Yeah.
I suppose, really important because, placements, they're quite a sort of personal thing. Some people might not want to do them for sort of many reasons, so just sort of preparing students to just be prepared for after university. It's things they can talk about in interviews, all that kind of thing. Really important. And how about the psychology facilities?
Yeah, so for psychology, because we are a Bachelor of Science, there is obviously the element of statistical analyses, but we do run a lot of experiments, which is really nice. So students have the opportunity to use our research labs and cubicles where they can run their experiments, have other students and other people coming in to participate in the experiments that they're running. We teach students how to use different software, so we use PsychoPy, and also Power Labs for the biological side, so measuring pulse, etc. And we even do a lie detector test, which students can come and experience. So we do offer quite a few different opportunities for students to engage with research and doing research themselves, particularly in the third year where they have to complete an independent project for their dissertation. That's when they'll be using a lot of those resources, but we start that from year 1 and kind of building up to year 3.
Yeah, and like for a few of our other courses within the schools, like forensic science and criminology, criminal investigation and policing, we have an amazing crime scene house. So if you're here for open day, you'll get to see that. Crime scene house, so you're really hands-on, you get to see those different facilities. I
suppose in terms of like kind of teaching styles, I know, Jess, you're quite a fan of sort of gamification.
Yes. So we are trying to introduce, and I personally, as I said, is a massive fan of gamification of teaching. New ways of teaching. We've been playing Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, which is Who Wants to Be a Microbiologist. We've had virtual practicals. We've got escape rooms based on virology practicals. All these different ways that you can bring in teaching, because we fully understand that a lecturer stood in front of a lecture for an hour, 2 hours, is not everyone's thing. We need to help them to apply that knowledge as well, and to be able to retain the knowledge, not just for exams and for assessments, but for going forward, and that knowledge is going to be valuable. So yes, I'm a big fan of trying to find ways to bring in games, whether that is multiple choice questions in the middle of lectures to just check that people are following along, or whether that is at the end setting a crossword puzzle. I really like that idea of students finding all these different activities that they enjoy, and we're currently running a future like a digitalisation pilot scheme to see that how this could be spread further than just the module that I am leading onto other modules, to try and roll it out further around the university.
Yeah, fantastic. Definitely makes it a bit sort of more engaging,
more fun.
It sounds quite exciting, to be honest.
Got people behind the camera with us today who enjoy the little games each day. Got the word or the connections.
Yeah, we do.
So it's it does work. I suppose talking about the kind of those graduate destinations then. So we know that the sort of locations are fairly varied. So I suppose, Nabila, just to start with yourself, I've got a few kind of big names here. So Amazon, NHS trusts, PwC, Lloyds Bank, Guide Dogs. It's sort of really sort of varied mix. But what sort of roles would you typically see students kind of moving into?
It's quite difficult to really pinpoint. Most students go on to do some like weird and wonderful things, and I've had a student recently who I worked with before she graduated, and she has got onto a Cambridge teaching scheme or something like that. So she's going on to do teaching. A lot of students go on to do clinical practice, educational psychologists, those kind of things. But then there's also students who go into marketing and other areas that are completely like seemingly unrelated to psychology. But it's the study of human behavior. It's used in all areas. So I think it's it's students go on to do loads of different things and in different areas. So it just provides quite a varied opportunity.
And I think, speaking for yourself as well, Nabila was a student here at Mutford University, and now she's a lecturer here. So there's that pathway as well, for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
And Jess, how about yourself? What about for sort of biomedical science and allied health?
As you can tell from the name of the degree, we're aiming students to become biomedical scientists. They will have that ability after finishing the IBMS accredited degree. However, that is that is just one of the career opportunities that open. The NHS labs, they're great, don't necessarily suit everyone's tastes. So we have industry links where we have a lot of students who move into industry, starting at the lab technician or research technician, moving up and up and up as they progress in their careers. Students moving to pharmaceutical companies. So lab-based roles, food testing companies. There's all of these lab-based roles that, because biomedical science as a course is quite varied, you're picking up all these different skills that are used in so many different industries. And if you don't fancy doing lab-based, there is a lot of science-based roles, science writing, science communication has become a massive place, sending people to either do writing, but also online science production, content production around sciences is very big. Policy work, working in government to help influence how the government sees biomedical science topics. So there is these options for students who don't fancy doing an NHS lab. Obviously there is further studying and going on into academia and becoming a lecturer or becoming a researcher.
Students at DMU, of course.
At DMU, of course. Students, things like cancer research is obviously always a big area that a lot of our students are aiming for. But also places like big drug companies, GlaxoSmithKline, GSK, Pfizer, AstraZeneca. These are all these big companies where you have the skills when you graduate to move towards these companies.
I suppose it goes to show that no sort of companies are out of reach, really.
No.
And for our other sort of allied health courses, we've got speech and language therapy, we've got paramedicine, audiology, similar to sort of biomedical. It'll be setting students up for that sort of one career path, but the skills you learn along the way, it really gives you scope to sort of move around if you choose it's not for you. But so thank you ever so much to both of you. It's been really insightful. Hopefully,
thank you for having us.
You're very welcome. And yes, I suppose we spoke about guide dogs and the psychology student moving into there. And now we've got a campus tour with a dog.
Come on, Eva, we're going to be late.
Campus tour. I'm Marta.
And my name's Fred. Let's get started.
We are a campus-based university in the heart of Leicester.
Our central location means we're near Nottingham, Sheffield and Birmingham and only an hour away from London by train. Here in the Magazine Square we have the Hawthorne building, which is home to students of health and life sciences.
And over here you can see the Hugh Aston building, which is home to business and law students. We are right in the middle of campus now. This is the Vijay Patel building, where many of the arts, design and humanities students are based.
And over here is the Queen's building, which is for students of computing, engineering and media.
We'll go see your course soon, but while we're here, this is the food village.
It's just one of the options for food on campus. I always get the mac and cheese.
Eva, come on, we're done. Are you daydreaming? Don't worry, we'll come back for the open day.
Not a chance. Not a chance. Okay. I think maybe I can do it. Maybe I can do it. You ready? Eva. Oh.
Hello and welcome back to our health and life science live stream. We do have some questions. So one of them was about, can you talk about medical science and what's expected? We do have a medical science team at DMU, but if you email our inquiry team, inquiry@dmu.ac.uk, we can send you a little bit more information. We can also send those queries to our academics to kind of answer those questions for you. But we do have our open day coming up next month. I believe it's 29th of June.
I suppose it's important as well that a lot of what we covered in biomedical, it will be quite sort of
Yeah,
transferable
28th of
into-
June. But if you do come to the open day, you can talk to our academics and they can tell you a lot about what's expected of the course, what the student life is like within that course. But yeah, if you just get in touch with our inquiry team, they should help. There's also another question about a mature student and they have a disability, what type of assistance we can provide with travel and if they're too unwell to attend. So before you even become a De Montfort University student, even in your inquiry phase, you can get in touch with our disability team. You can email them at disability@dmu.ac.uk and they can kind of put implementations, sorry, English is not my best English, put precautions in place for you to kind of make sure that you are ready for when you arrive at university, and they'll ask you what kind of support you need. So we do have an amazing team, whether that's like welfare or whether support that's monetarily. Definitely speak to them and they will be able to answer and help you out there.
I think that question came through when talking about nursing, and the nursing team are really proud of their sort of inclusive approach to their students, so being as accessible and welcoming as possible, really.
Yeah, for sure.
But we've spoken about the embedded placements, we've spoken about optional placements as well, and now we've got an expert on both. So we've got Charlie joining us. So
hello.
Would you like to give us a bit of a sort of overview of
Absolutely.
yourself, what you do?
My name is Charlie Wilkins. I'm the placement coordinator for optional placements in health and life sciences, and that covers a number of courses: biomedical science, medical science, forensic science, pharmaceutical and cosmetic science, psychology and education studies. And there are variations on those, like psychology of education and vice versa. And those are subjects where you are able to go on a placement for a year between your second and final year. It's up to you if you want to do it. You don't need to do it. It will add another year to your studies, but it gives you that really valuable experience that kind of gives you an edge when it comes to your postgraduate job search. And also if you want to go and do your masters, it's all about enhancing yourself and giving yourself more building blocks to build what you want out of your future.
Yeah, really strong sort of foundation.
Absolutely.
Really. So I suppose with your role, what do you typically see sort of students approach yourself for?
So the way that I see the year is that I predominantly work with second years, because when you're in your second year, that's when you can start applying for these placements. Placements are announced at the start of the academic year. The bigger organisations announce, but they are announced, these roles, throughout the academic year. We have certain ties with organisations in Leicester and beyond, which are giving exclusive opportunities to students for psychology, biomedical science and the subjects. But the way that my year normally starts off is you'll see me as a second year student in all your lectures in the first week 0, week 1, and I'll just be saying, send me your CV, let's get started, here's what it's all about. And then I deal with a lot of CV reviews, cover letters, applications for roles. And all these things I support with can be applied to your own job search as well. Like, do you want a part-time job? Well, we're looking for a placement. Let's get your CV ready so you can use it for everything. And my overall plan for next academic year is I'll be very soon reaching out to all first years, so that over the summer we're running boot camp sessions where they can learn all the stuff I'm talking about, which is how do you write a cover letter, how do you get your CV ready, what kind of order does your CV need to be in, how do you use AI to apply for roles, how can you ace an interview, so that you get that grounding before your second year even begins. And I'll look at every single CV, every single cover letter you send me until you're happy with what goes into it. So we might have some stern words at the beginning, because I've had some truly atrocious CVs and cover letters, like half a page or 15 pages. I'm like, there's something wrong here. But we'll help you get to where you need to be with that and get you ready to start applying.
Yeah, you mentioned interview prep. I understand there's like a VR set on
Absolutely.
campus.
So one of the great things about DMU's careers team is we have a careers hub, which is based in Hugh Aston, which is just opposite the Hawthorne building, which is kind of just off-centre of campus. And in the careers hub, we have call them VR body swap technology, which are these headsets which if you've got a VR headset at home, like an Oculus or something like that, they resemble that. And what you do is you book a session, you have a private room, you're set up with this headset, and you're able to practice interviews in a virtual reality environment, and you get live feedback from this technology. You answer a question, it's looking at your body language, how you hold yourself, where you're looking, and how you're answering questions. So we have that available. We have one-to-one sessions with trained staff on how to do interviews, how to prepare for interviews. We do mock interviews as well.
Yeah.
So if you're going into an interview panel, I can get 3 of my mates, 3 of my colleagues, and we can put you in a room and actually give you that full interview experience. And that's not just for placements, that's for careers as well. That's accessible to everyone.
Yeah.
So the great thing about the DMU careers team is that as soon as you join DMU, you have access to the careers team.
Yeah.
And you have access after you graduate for the rest of your life.
That's
So
amazing, yeah.
you might see me in my 40s, 50s and 60s,
Yeah.
and the way the world is going, 70s, 80s, but you'll have full access to the careers team for forever. And we just want to make sure that you have that continuity of care and support throughout your career search.
Yeah, and that's especially quite important for our health and life science students as
Definitely.
well, because they
Absolutely.
will be in touch with you at some point,
Yes.
one way or the other. And, you know, we know that we've got partnerships with the local hospitals, the
Yep.
private labs, and, you know, the mental health services. So can you give us like a few examples of where our students have been placed?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we have roles available with the University Hospitals of Leicester for our biomedical science students. And with that comes the IBMS accreditation that is vital if you want to become a biomedical scientist. You can only get these by doing a placement. And if you imagine the demand for it.
Oh yeah. It must be
So
huge.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So if you wait until you graduate, then you're up against people who didn't do it during the placement, other people who have graduated, MA students, long-term graduates who have not done the IBMS. So the placement year is quite possibly the best time to do it.
Helps you stand out. doesn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You want to do everything that you can to stand out. And I see a lot of students say, "Oh, I don't have the skills that relate to this." And I always say, "Well, no. What are your hobbies?
Yeah.
What are you doing during your academics?" Because what we're looking for in your CV and your cover letter are what we call transferable or soft skills.
Yeah.
So teamwork, organisation. You might have only ever worked at McDonald's, but that still means you've got organisation, time management, problem solving, communication, all these skills that are vital to get where you want to go. So I always tell students, hey, don't worry about it. Even if you've never had a job before, you've done project work at university, team project, everything. You might have joined a club when you joined DMU, then immediately you have collaborative skills. So it's just about distinguishing between what is a soft skill and what is not, and then putting that on your CV again, you're ready. Aside from the biomedical, we have this amazing collaboration going on with the Leicestershire Partnership Trust of NHS. 9 roles for psychology and psychology-related students that are exclusive to DMU. And that's something that we've secured this year, this amazing opportunity. I found out after the fact, I've been talking to this partnership trust for months now, getting this sorted, and I found out last week that she's my neighbour's best mate, which was really weird. I saw her in the pub. But they're just, these people want to fill these roles. People think it's terrifying. And interviews are really nerve-wracking, but that's why we do the prep. But they want to fill the roles. So you shouldn't let that be a barrier to entry.
Two-way street, isn't it?
Exactly.
Exactly.
And that's what I love about DMU, and hearing like from student ambassadors is the support that you get and the experiences. And you can really see those students go on to do a lot of different things. And when they come back and tell us the stories that they've gone, we had somebody, a medical science student, they've recently went to, Italy they went to, and then they're looking at a placement, so it's definitely amazing.
It's important to note as well, you don't have to do a placement in Leicester
Yeah.
or the UK.
Yeah.
If you can secure a placement in America, elsewhere, you're more than welcome to. It's about your own personal circumstances. So placements are a fantastic opportunity. They will really set you apart.
Yeah, and I love talking about the fact that I got to go to China to do my placement internship, and I feel like had I not done that internship, I wouldn't be. So whatever course that you do here at De Montfort University, you will get that chance. You will get to speak to someone like Charlie to look at the placement opportunities available here. We do have a video, I believe, for a placement from the DMU Careers team, so let's have a look at that.
The DMU Careers team is here to help students from their first year at university right up until they graduate. Each faculty has dedicated careers advisors to help you gain specialised experience while studying, as well as supporting you in finding your dream job once you graduate. So we also have a fantastic enterprise team as well that can help you start your own business. They'll really help you get off the ground with your ideas and support you with that venture. So one of the other really important services that we provide is placement support, which would be a year in industry in your chosen field, depending on your degree subject. We'll help you find an opportunity and also support you through that whole journey from application to interview and to then secure your placement.
During my second year, I started reaching out to the careers team and they helped me through like one-to-one support appointments, workshops for my CV, and then showed me like how to apply, where to find the placements. Did things like mock interviews, practice interviews for my role, and then through that I was actually fortunate enough to secure the role.
Brilliant. So thank you to Charlie who just joined us, and I suppose now it's time to hear from the people who've lived it, who've lived DMU and have benefited from these services and experiences. So we are joined by two lovely students, so would you like to introduce yourselves?
I'm Katie. I study forensic science and I'm in my final year and I've completed a placement year last year.
Amazing.
Brilliant. And Precious?
And I'm Precious. I'm a health and wellbeing student. I'm in second year. Nice to meet you all.
Fantastic. So I suppose we'll start off with you, Katie. So we've just come from a segment on optional placements. So would you like to tell us a bit about what you did, what sort of, I suppose, skills you think you've developed during that?
Yeah, so I was a research assistant for a year. I was actually based here on campus at DMU.
Brilliant.
I worked alongside my lecturers and with an external company, and we actually developed a new decontamination technique, and we got the opportunity to actually write a paper and then publish it early this year as well. So I'm first author, which is lovely. My name is the reference. But yeah, it was a really amazing opportunity. I mean, I developed so many research skills as well that I wouldn't ordinarily get just on your course, and it really helped me through my dissertation as well, because dissertations are research projects too.
Yeah. Yeah, for those with Katie on LinkedIn, it's very impressive. And yeah, Precious, so I suppose you've been studying under the sort of block teaching model that we've got here at TMU. Just like to share a bit about sort of how you've enjoyed that, how you found it?
So I'd say that it was very good for me personally, transitioning from like learning at sixth form to university. It's good having like one module at a time to focus on. That means one set of assignments, you know, if you do exams on your course, one set of exams with one topic at a time. I think it's really helped me manage my workload instead of having like 4 different modules at the same time, 4 different assignments due at the same time. So yeah, I think I found block teaching to be very helpful if you're transitioning from obviously lower level to higher level of education.
Yeah, and I suppose in terms of your course as well, in terms of building those skills for sort of once you graduate and start looking for work, what sort of skills do you think have been sort of key in what you've developed?
I would say definitely time management. Although block teaching does make it easier for us students to like, you know, focus on one thing at a time, you do still have to know how to manage your time. So that's getting up on time for lectures, even though you know it's hard, setting time apart, like when you do have free time, knowing that it's not for you to just sit down and be lazy, like make sure you do put in the work so that afterwards it's easy. So setting apart time to make sure that those research papers are done, assignments are done, setting apart time to revise if you do need to revise. And I think time management is a big thing.
Key for when you go into work as well, so it's really important. Katie, I suppose in terms of your placement, how did you go about finding that, applying for it?
Yeah, so I used, we have a really amazing portal called The Gateway, and they list all of the placement opportunities, even job opportunities for after you graduate as well.
Yeah.
But I just went through that listing, did applications that way. I contacted the placement team. They helped me with my CV and interview process as well, which was really lovely. Honestly, they are amazing. Support is phenomenal. But yeah, I think this one was actually advertised on Instagram, which is where I saw it as well. So
you can follow DMU on socials as well.
So yeah, that's actually how I found the placement that I ended up being on, was actually through Instagram.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And in terms of like looking ahead, what are your goals after graduation? For you first, Katie.
Yeah, so I have been applying for jobs. I would love to go into a career in forensic science, but I've also been applying for PhDs as well. I really feel like the placement has helped bridge that gap between an undergrad and a PhD that masters might have.
Yeah.
So I'm going and applying for PhDs. I've got some interviews coming up as well for that. So fingers crossed, hopefully by the end of this year I'll be in one.
All the best with that. Yeah, no, that sounds really exciting, especially in a career path that like you really love and enjoy, want to develop kind of further. Again, Precious, what kind of what career graduations?
So after I graduate, I'm looking to go on into further studies. So I'm trying to do my master's. I'm considering studying at DMU. It just depends on what they have to offer because I'm trying to go into health economics.
Okay.
Yeah, very exciting. And I suppose for those who are watching us today and, you know, taking yourselves back a couple of years to when you started, what would your sort of, I suppose, key piece of advice be for those joining DMU in September? Would it be, you know, accessing the placements team or, you know, things about time management, all of that kind of stuff?
I think the one thing that I'm so glad that I took the advice of from someone was to take every opportunity that's offered to you.
Yeah.
Here at DMU, honestly, I'm not just saying this to boost up anyone's opinions, but we have so many resources and so many ways that you can access support. And honestly, if you use them to the best of their abilities and like what they're there for while you're here as a student, then I don't see where you can go wrong, really. It's every opportunity that you get, you take it, because at the end of the day, it's you against everyone else in a career path, and you want to make yourself the best candidate.
I suppose even things like, you know, joining us today, these are sort of paid opportunities. So I suppose you are paid actors, but we're not buying your...
No, it's certainly not a job I would take if I didn't believe in what I was saying, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Precious, what about your sort of key
As for me, I would say get in touch. Come and visit DMU's campus if you can, and get in touch with the careers team, the placement teams, and I'm sure you can get in touch with lecturers. Ask them about, you know, modules, how exactly it is that they teach the course, how exactly you're going to be assessed. I think, you know, phone numbers are out there, emails are out there. I'd say if you do feel nervous, you could just contact them. They have an amazing team and they will always get back through to you. So yeah, just contact them.
Yeah, can book a one-to-one, can't they?
Yes.
So, yeah, and so I suppose, we've had a really insightful session today. We've spoken to, you know, the 4 schools that we've got here in the Faculty of Health and Life Sciences, heard from our current students, heard from our placement team, the academics as well.
So a huge thank you to all our guests who attended today. And just a quick recap, we talked about, you know, our course at the 4 academic schools, the placement opportunities, student support, and what life is really like at DMU. If you do want to learn more about us, as Precious said, visit our website, reach out to us directly, or even check out, you know, how to apply. But thank you so much for joining us.
Welcome to come to our next open day on the 28th of June as well.
Thank you.